The Puck Portfolio with Andy MacNeil.
Hey, welcome to the Puck Portfolio presented by NorthStar Bets. I'm your host, Andy MacNeil with CanadaSportsBetting.ca. What a wild night in the NHL playoffs on Tuesday. 4 great matchups. First up, we had the Washington Capitals and the New York Rangers. And game 2 was much more competitive than game 1. The Washington Capitals gave it their all at MSG, but they fell short, losing 4-3 to the Rangers. New York now has a 2-0 series lead heading to Washington for the next 2 games. Look, the Capitals, they might be able to steal a game at home, but New York has a 95% chance of moving on, according to my projections. And yeah, it's sad to see Ovechkin be such a non-factor. He has just 1 shot in 2 playoff games so far. Even head coach Spencer Carberry acknowledged that his captain is struggling. He's seeing a pretty tough matchup against the Rangers and hasn't been a factor so far in this series. So looking ahead, New York, obviously a big favorite, a little bit too big of a favorite to justify making a bet on the Rangers, according to my model. But hey, we'll see what happens as we approach game 2. We'll be back on Thursday to set up all of the series that we're talking about right now. Another competitive game between the Tampa Bay Lightning and the Florida Panthers. Game 2 was even more tightly contested than game 1 was, but the Panthers got the overtime win. They've taken a 2-0 series lead. The Panthers outshot the Lightning 37-23 in the game, but Sergei Bobrovsky did not have it easy by any means. In fact, Bobrovsky had to make the save of the playoffs in the second period to keep the game tied at 2. You'll see that one on the highlights, I'm sure. Carter Verhaeghe, who took a very unnecessary bad penalty, a goaltending interference penalty in the second period that led to Tampa Bay's tying goal. He scored the overtime winner, so he got some redemption. And I'm looking ahead to game 2 now. The Panthers, or game 3, sorry. The Panthers have an 87% chance of winning the series, according to my projections. And my model says that they should be a minus 110 favorite in game 3 on the road in Tampa Bay. So maybe a little bit of value on the Florida Panthers, but not quite enough to justify a bet on Florida in game 3. Man, the Winnipeg Jets, we had the team total over 3.5 goals. I know some of you probably had the money line as well. They looked good to start. They unraveled as the game went on, though. The Jets scored early, taking a 1-0 lead, but they failed to capitalize on their 2 early power play opportunities in the first period, and that gave Colorado life. Winnipeg regained the lead 2-1 in the second period, but a disastrous end to that period saw the Avalanche take a 4-2 lead into the second intermission. Hellebuck misplayed the puck alongside his own net. That led to the 3-2 goal, and then defenseman Josh Manson, he broke loose on a breakaway out of the penalty box just as the Jets' power play was expiring. He puts Colorado up 4-2. That can't happen if you're the Winnipeg Jets with just 7 seconds remaining in the period. They have to cover that area of the ice in that situation. So, yeah, 2 rough games in a row for Connor Hellebuck. And now the Jets are series underdogs again. My projection sees them a little bit worse off than they were coming into the series. They had a 49% chance to win the series before this one got underway, but they've lost home ice advantage. And now Colorado has a 52.8% chance of winning the series. So be interesting to see what happens in this one. I'm probably not going to be backing the Jets in any capacity in game 3 unless things get out of hand here, but I'm just going to ride my series bet for now. Of course, on the Jets at plus 115 to win the series from prior to the start of the playoffs. And our final game of the night on Tuesday, a wild one with the Nashville Predators and the Vancouver Canucks. Obviously, the big story heading into the game was that Canucks goaltender Thatcher Demko was going to be unavailable for game 2. After he sustained an injury late in game 1. Backup goalie Casey DeSmith got the start as a result. And Nashville beat him on their first shot of the game, just 74 seconds in. And it didn't take long for the Preds to extend that lead. They did have to weather a storm as the first period went on, but they settled things down and they scored 2 quick goals early in the second period to go up 3-0. Didn't look like they were going to be able to hold on to that lead, but they extended it by 2. And then it was a shot blocking clinic after that. The Predators actually set a franchise record with 32 blocked shots in a game that did not require, in a playoff game that did not require overtime. And I'm guessing you're not doing that in the regular season. I don't know who's blocking 32 shots in a game in the regular season. You want to get your head checked out if you're doing that. But the Predators, they obviously made good on the break that they caught by not having to face off against Thatcher Demko. Won the game 3-1. They weathered the storm. The thing that stood out to me the most, though, was, aside from the Predators blocking so many shots, Vancouver had an 83-36 edge in shot attempts in game 2. But just 16 of Vancouver's 83 shot attempts were high danger shot attempts. 10 of Nashville's 36 attempts were high danger shot attempts. So the Canucks, for all of that, just had a 16-10 edge in high danger shot attempts, according to Natural Stat Trick. That's not very good. Vancouver's got to force their way into the slot in game 3. We don't know what the status is of Thatcher Demko right now. I'm not expecting him to be in the lineup in game 3 as of right now, given that he wasn't available for game 2. Don't know how long he's going to be out, but as things stand right now, this one is a 50-50 series. The Vancouver Canucks and the Nashville Predators, each with a 50% chance of winning this one. And from a betting perspective, we saw what Demko's absence had, what kind of impact that had on the odds, as Nashville went from a plus 140 underdog down to plus 110. And they certainly won't be that big of a dog at any point in this series if Thatcher Demko is still out. So yeah, we'll see what happens in that one. Just happy to get the Predators money line bet on Tuesday night. But looking ahead to Wednesday, of course, a big game between the Boston Bruins and the Toronto Maple Leafs. A bit of a rubber match here, as this series is locked at 1 game apiece. And Willie Nylander is going to be a game time decision for Toronto on Wednesday. He was skating alongside Holmberg and Jarnkrok at practice on the Maple Leafs third line. Ilya Samsonov will start for the Maple Leafs. Boston likely going to turn back to Jeremy Swayman, at least you would expect. But nothing has been confirmed there. I think the Maple Leafs should be a small favorite as things stand now. And that lines up pretty closely with what we're seeing in the market currently. So my only bet that I'm going to make for Wednesday night, it's the Vegas Golden Knights money line. You probably had a feeling based on my attire today. Of course, I'm rocking the Vegas hat, the Vegas jersey. But yeah, seems like the market here is expecting Vegas to play as poorly as they did in game 1. They've got outshot 30-15 by the Dallas Stars, or worse maybe. But in my opinion, there's a lot of overconfidence here. Dallas is the better team. Don't get me wrong. But I thought the odds on Vegas were getting a little bit too high heading into game 1. Too low, sorry, I guess. They closed at plus 135, but that's definitely the case heading in to game number 2. NorthStar Bets currently has the Vegas Golden Knights at plus 143 on the money line. And according to my projection, Dallas should be priced at minus 133, not minus 167. Therefore, I think there's enough value to justify a 1-unit bet on the Vegas Golden Knights at plus 143. The current odds at NorthStar Bets. Of course, shop around, see what's out there. But I think there's just far too much confidence in the Dallas Stars to bounce back in this one. I think, this is a series where we could see every game decided by 1 goal. And that would not shock me in the least. We saw that a lot in this matchup, in this season and previous seasons. A lot of overtime appearances, a lot of overtime games for these two teams. So yeah, I've got Vegas on the money line. I don't think they should be this big of an underdog. They are the Stanley Cup champions after all. And Dallas has had a hard time putting them away, just like they did in game 1 when Jake Ottinger allowed 4 goals on the first 10 shots. So, criticizing Vegas for not playing that well, kind of weird if you ask me, because they didn't really need to. They got 4 goals on their first 10 shots. That gave them the luxury of being able to sit back and let Dallas come at them in waves. But they were probably pretty comfortable with that. It did get close, but Vegas got the win. Now I like them to take a 2-0 lead in the series. And the final game that we're going to talk about on Wednesday, of course, is the Los Angeles Kings and the Edmonton Oilers. Big adjustment here in the betting market. Edmonton was a minus 170 money line favorite in game 1. But after their dominant 7-4 win Odds makers listed them as a minus 185 favorite for game 2. And since then, they've moved up to minus 195. Edmonton is now a minus 450 favorite to advance to the second round. After a series odds update, the Oilers started the series as a minus 210 favorite to go on to round 2. So big adjustment there as well. But yeah, of course there was. Right from the moment that the Oilers hit the ice in game 1, you could tell that it was going to be different than in past years. That win marked Edmonton's first game 1 victory since 2017. The Oilers starting off a series on the right foot for the first time, only the second time in the McDavid era, and the first time in a long time. But yeah, Edmonton, they're probably not going to score 6, 7, even 5 goals more often than not, right? So Stuart Skinner is going to have to be better because LA did manage to put 4 goals up on Skinner in game 1. And he was better last season in the playoffs versus Los Angeles. In matter of fact, he held Los Angeles to 3 or fewer goals in 4 out of the 6 games last spring. So we need more of that from Skinner if the Oilers are going to make this one a short series. But yeah, finding value on the Oilers pretty tough given how the odds have moved already. Big adjustment in the betting market for this one. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with Connor McDavid. He only played 18:49 in game 1. That gives head coach Chris Knobloch an opportunity to use him a little bit more in game 2. So he usually plays around 23, 24 minutes per playoff game in the past. Obviously, his workload was a lot less than that. He still put up 5 points against the LA Kings, something he had never done before. Never had more than 3 points in a game versus the LA Kings, in fact. So yeah, McDavid, I mean, they could double shift him if they get into trouble in game 2 on Wednesday. And yeah, maybe some alternate player prop looks out there for a guy like Connor McDavid, who could have not only a monthly point night again here, which he has done in the majority of the games that he's played against the Los Angeles Kings in the playoffs, but could be even better than that. So that'll be interesting to see what McDavid does in game 2. But yeah, that does it for today's episode of the Puck Portfolio. Just one bet for me, Vegas, 1 unit at plus 143 on the money line, looking for them to take a 2-0 series lead over the Dallas Stars. But looking forward to the games on Wednesday, and I'm sure you are too. So good luck with your bets. Gamble responsibly. We'll see you again on Thursday.